Well, good day, everybody. My name is Free Borsey. If you all could please take a stand, I'm about to open up this speaker series with a song. The song I'm singing is the Lummi Nation National Anthem. If you could please remove your hats, that'd be wonderful as well, just for the song. This song was composed by Anton George and our late Chief Salish in 2007, and it tells the story of our ancestors surviving the flood and coming to this place and making this place their permanent home. In that song, Shishesh Bukwolikson is saying we are the survivors. We are the survivors of the Great Flood. Thank you all for showing your respect. And yeah, it's an honor to be here. Haishka. ASEAN, Nostalgia CM, Free Borsey Tsanesna, Tsakvilum Tsanesna, Chaklamisen. Good evening, friends and relatives. My name is Free Borsey. My traditional name is Tsakvilum. It's a 7th generation name that comes right from that story, Survivors of the Great Flood. Tsakvilum, as I was told, was the first man to climb off of the canoes when the water receded and the canoes landed in the Lake Terrell area. My brother's name is also a 7th generation name. His name is Khosoltin. It's connected to that story as well. Khosoltin means evening star. He was the navigator of the canoes as they journeyed on the Great Flood. Tsakvilum and Khosoltin tie us to this land 7 generations ago. It's an honor and privilege to be here today and be able to speak to you and share our story. Haishka for having us.
Now siam nisjalacha Santana Raband sanasnat chuch Lummi Haishka Quinisin Atachel Isai Tsin Klutza Tia. Hello, my respected people. My name is Santana Raband. I come from Lummi. Thank you all for being here today. My hands go up to you. We didn't do your.
So I am the environmental stewardship specialist at Children of the Setting Sun Productions, actually at Setting Sun Institute, a facet of Children of the Setting Sun Productions, which was recently launched late last year. I came to Children of the Setting Sun Productions in 2022, started off as an event planner. I helped create some of the films by PAing and sound opping, helping with some camera work. And also, I had the opportunity to learn how to produce and just really guide our film team as they navigated Coast Salish, different coastal nations, and really just different Indigenous nations here in the Pacific Northwest. I think that's it for now.
My pronouns are she, hers, and I started working at Children of the Setting Sun Productions in 2021. My roles have kind of been all over the place. Right now, I am a researcher within our Setting Sun Institute. I was the lead researcher on our Salmon People project, which is our largest project at Children of the Setting Sun Productions, and a project that is really our North Star and really guides who we are as a people. And right now, I am a producer on the Young and Indigenous podcast. I just launched a series called Healing Woman Heals Mother Earth, and it's interviewing women in leadership who are doing a lot of work around salmon restoration and dam removal, and really uplifting and amplifying their voices and their work, but then also talking to them about how they take care of themselves mentally, physically, and spiritually while being involved in such high-level advocacy work.
Just a little quick overview of Children of the Setting Sun Productions. We are a local nonprofit company that specializes in Indigenous storytelling through multimedia lens via films, audio podcasts, events, literature. We've published in recent years the book Jacental, films on missing and murdered Indigenous women, films around environmental advocacy, like Santana just shared. Our North Star is Salmon People, and that was really a vision given to us from our late Lummi leader, Larry Kinley, who posed the question, if we are Salmon People, who are we without salmon? And that's what started the Salmon People. Really, it's a series of films now, not just one film, but that the main film we finished last summer, and it was a PBS. It's a PBS documentary, and it tells the story of Larry Kinley, the Lummi people, and our history in this land, pre-contact, post-contact, and how our fishermen continue to live and subsist off of the land and the salmon runs today. It also speaks to the devastation that the salmon populations have faced in recent history and what Indigenous people and non-Indigenous people are doing to restore those populations and what we could be doing better.
Our mission statement is Children of the Setting Sun's responsibility is to create and share Indigenous stories of gratitude, generosity, and respect. We empower the minds and hearts of future generations. And we do this work through community engagement, our Salmon People Project, Young Tribal Leadership Program, and our Indigenous-led think tank, the Setting Sun Institute.
The values of gratitude, generosity, respect, and responsibility are something that have been passed down in our culture for many generations since time immemorial. And it's linked to a story that some of you may have had the opportunity to hear. It's the Salmon Woman story. And that story is what makes us Salmon People. the story summed up, essentially, we had developed a relationship with salmon women as a starving people. One of our warriors were sent out, and on the brink of death, he found salmon woman, and salmon woman, salmon woman pitied him, so she helped him, and he brought her back to his village, and she nourished the people. But the people grew greedy. The people took advantage of this abundant resource, and they started to disrespect the salmon. They started to waste the salmon. Um, Salmon woman decided to leave with her children, and the people grew hungry again. And Raven was sent out to find Salmon woman, and when he did, she came back on one agreement that we uphold these values and these promises. And as long as we uphold these values and promises to her and her children, we'll always have salmon. And if we always have salmon, we'll always have life. And so these values have been passed down in our culture for many generations. And we just try to carry the same message forward today, even in these trivial times. So as you know, we are here speaking about the Salish Sea. Many of us call the Salish Sea home. I myself had the honor and privilege to call the Salish Sea my home my entire life. I was born and raised here in Bellingham, raised on the Lummi Reservation, which if you look at the map, the Lummi Reservation is right there, right? Oh, no, right here. They look alike almost. Here, the San Juan Islands, the Strait of Georgia, and Juan de Fuca. There are many, many tribes, too many tribes for me to even list, that call the Salish Sea their home. But I would like to acknowledge the homelands that we are on today. We are on the ancestral homelands of the Lummi Nation, the Nooksack Nation, and the Samish Nations. These people have not only stewarded these lands for a millennia, but they've also defended these lands against all kinds of threats, and they continue to defend these lands to this day.
So we are here to talk about, as Indigenous peoples, our relationship with the Coast Salish Sea, the Salish Sea. And in order to do that, it's really important to acknowledge, the relationship pre-contact, post-contact, and today. So to go over a little bit of our relationship pre-contact, we have Salish Sea relatives, the inhabitants of the Salish Sea were not just considered food sources, but also our sacred relatives. A lot of our relatives that live in the Salish Sea, have a lot of meaning to us as Indigenous people, and we have all learned something through them, through stories and our relationship with them. And a quote by Kealani Scott is that they're not just resources, but life sources. We had canoe culture and trade, which was the Salish Sea was considered our traditional highways for transportation and trade. Traveling by canoe connected us to other Coast Salish nations, which allowed us to trade, have political marries, and diplomacy. We had seasonal harvesting. Indigenous peoples migrated with the seasons, harvesting shellfish, herring, and seaweed from the shorelines while also hunting and foraging inland. And then we also had spiritual and cultural practices. The water and islands of the Salish Sea held spiritual significance with sacred sites, oral histories, and ceremonies sustaining relationships with the land and the water.
I put this together in kind of a story format. I thought these images were incredible examples of just a few examples of how our ancestors were able to live in this land and really utilize the abundance of resources that we are blessed with here today. In these slides, don't want to walk too far away from the mic. In these slides, you can see in the top left corner, that's actually my hand. But that is a salmonberry. The Salish Sea is home to an abundance of all kinds of berries, and our ancestors were able to come inland, harvest these different resources, roots, berries, plants, different animals and stockpile for the winter so that they could prep for their winter homes and lock themselves in for the harsh winter. In the top right here, you can see a woman who is using a unique tool called a spindle whirl. And what she's doing is she's taking these wool balls that come from this dog right here called a Salish woolly dog. At least most of the wool in this territory would be traded, or we would go up to Vancouver Island and harvest from these woolly dogs. I imagine we also had trade east with mountain goat wool and then other wool coming in from different territories. But the Salish woolly dog, unfortunately, is no longer in existence. It was breeded out and is now extinct. But when you would use this tool, you would turn the wool into like a string-like material, and then you could take that and weave it into these intricate blankets like what this lady is doing here. And these blankets I mean, could you imagine going out and trying to harvest little plucks of wool and then sitting there and having to whirl it and then having to sit here and weave these blankets? Could you imagine the time and the effort that it takes? These blankets were actually a very high value item, and you could trade these blankets for multiple canoes, which is pretty crazy to think about. But these blankets were high value because that's what protected you from the elements, and that's what they were considered a sign of wealth in our communities. Here I have some examples of baskets. These baskets are made from different various plants, most of the time cedar, but other plants could be used, not even just plants, but roots as well. And I love this picture because it kind of shows the uniqueness of each basket. This one has big holes in it. It's probably a clam harvesting basket so that you didn't retain water. This basket has no holes in it, so there's a chance that it could be a watertight basket, which was used to boil water. Our ancestors would take these baskets, fill them with water, and would heat rocks up by a fire and drop them in the basket, and the water would begin to boil without burning the baskets. It was very, very unique. And then don't quote me, these baskets, I could totally be off, but it is how we utilize these baskets, and that's the point that I'm trying to get across. This basket looks like it has smaller holes, probably utilized for harvesting and foraging for berries, roots, and other things. I think it's really cool how we would preserve berries too. Oftentimes we would smash berries into these patties, dry them out, and then you would have almost like what a fruit leather is today, and that would help sustain our ancestors as they locked themselves into their winter homes for the winter. Here you can't even really see it. This lady here is actually on thank you, Santana. This lady here is actually in a marsh. It looks like maybe near the headwaters of a river. And what she's doing is she's harvesting these cattail mats and weaving them into mats. These mats were utilized for many things. Here in this photo, it looks like this lady made some walls in a temporary home, maybe for a fish camp or something. But they were used for beds. You could use cattail mats for really anything that you can think of. The lady down here is weaving a really big basket that looks like it's made out of cedar. In order to harvest cedar bark, you pull just a strip of cedar off of each tree. You don't harvest all the bark because you want that tree to continue to live and provide life for everything else. So you just take what you need from each tree, and then you utilize that bark. Cedar was a keystone in our culture. We utilized cedar to make our canoes, weave baskets, weave our clothes. We used cedar to build our homes and protect us. And it's really important to note that we are in a day and age now where climate change has really put a restraint Thank you. On our cedars. Our cedars are actually facing a dieback, and it's really unfortunate. It's due to the short winters not allowing for a long enough hibernation period, and our western red cedars, which are a sign of resiliency and a staple in the Pacific Northwest. I think it really sends a message to all of us that we need to change something here, or we won't be here much longer. In this last photo, this was Santana's idea, and I thought it was amazing because she had mentioned earlier that the Salish Sea being in such a unique location has allowed us to trade with so many different peoples from all around the Salish Sea, from the west coast to the up north, and this is what a canoe would look like when you came back from a trade. It was really kind of hard for me to find this image because a lot of images come from post-contact when Indigenous people were working for canneries, working for logging companies, working for coal mining industries, or fish tossing, I guess, at the canneries. So you would be paid, with monetarily. So you didn't have that trade system, and I thought this was a unique thing. I can't say for sure that this canoe actually was traded. It could be just a fish camp setup, but that it's a great example of what our canoes would look like at the end of a trade. And I imagine there'd be a bunch more. So also in the Salish Sea, specific to the Northern Straits people, which Northern Straits are Samish, Lummi, Saanich, and Simiyamu people. We had this technology called a reef net, and even today the reef net is still the most sustainable fishing practice in the world. The reef net design had a hole in it which allowed for an escape. It operated in a similar way that you would see a purse seiner. The net would come up, catch the fish, and then the canoes would pull together, and you would just take what you need. Oftentimes, because the salmon runs were so abundant, you wouldn't need to be fishing very long to catch your fill. On the bottom corner right here, you can see a line of reef netters practicing that, using that technology to sustain their people. The reef net also, it was more than just a technology that we used. It was oftentimes used to create systems of government. It's reef net could only be used by certain families, and in order for you to be able to utilize that resource back then, political marriages were often made so that different other people from different territories could come in and nourish themselves. It was a great way for diplomacy to be practiced. Here, you oftentimes don't think about a sail on a canoe. You see them today. They all have their paddles, and they're paddling around. But our ancestors actually used sails to go around. Like I said, we would trade from the West Coast. We would war up north. And, sometimes we have trades that were over 600, 700 miles away, and it just made sense that you didn't paddle that entire way. So our ancestors utilized the wind as a resource to help with their transportation. Here is a tool that our ancestors used all around the world, probably in adze. It's called an adze. But these Salish people here, it was like the primary carving tool. If you notice the artwork here, especially historically, it seems really rugged. And that's because, I'm not sure, but what I was told was that our people didn't have very much time to practice art because we were in conflict quite a bit. So our art styles hadn't developed. What I was actually told by my elders, though, was that the reason Salish art, an example of Salish art right here, seems so simple relative to other art styles is because we were a humble people. And we were taught that you see something and you draw it the way you see it because Creator made it perfect in its it's already perfect in its natural form, and you add very little to this because it's not your responsibility to try making this animal something else or this being something else. It is already perfect, and that was a value that I had to learn as a Coast Salish artist, because as a young artist, I'm like, we weren't that simple. We were complex. But then I was humbled really quickly by my elders. So, and I love this. This is known as a welcoming figure. Totem poles actually don't come from this territory traditionally. We had welcoming figures. Totem poles were come from the north. Oftentimes, our enemies' territory had totem poles, but we had welcoming figures here, which are oftentimes just one being with their hands up welcoming people, or they could act as like a territorial marker.
Okay, so post contact and disruption of the Salish Sea. First off, there was diseases that were introduced, like smallpox, which devastated a lot of Indigenous populations. We have our treaties, which forced many Coast Salish groups onto reservations, limiting their access to usual and accustomed harvesting areas. Also, regulations around Salish culture destroyed many inherent lifeways. Our fishing rights, Indigenous peoples faced increasing restrictions on their ability to fish and hunt as commercial industries and government regulations prioritized settler interests. This led to significant legal battles, such as the Bolt decision, which affirmed Indigenous treaty fishing rights in Washington state. Ecological degradation, colonization led to environmental destruction, including overfishing, population, and habitat loss. Salmon populations were once plentiful, but dramatically declined due to mining, logging, urban expansion, and dam construction.
Here are some, like I said, I lay out the photos kind of like a story. One of the first sources of commerce as people expanded westward, trying to fulfill manifest destiny, and, claim up as much Indian land as they possibly could. One of the first sources of commerce in Bellingham actually wasn't logging or fishing, it was mining, coal mining. And if you don't know, now you know, Bellingham actually has a bunch of mining tunnels throughout the city. And here on the top, you can see a couple of photos of local mining operations. In the right, you can also see the Bellingham Tower being constructed on a freshly logged and zoned area in Bellingham, in downtown Bellingham. In this corner here, what follows suit after coal mining, or probably around the same time, was logging. And this actually right here, if you look, it's an old growth tree, and it's quite massive, right? The trees that were here 100 years ago were hundreds, if not thousands of years old. And the timber industry devastated these populations. To find old growth in the wild today is quite rare. To find second growth is rare as well. And oftentimes now we see a cut and grow system where they will go into a space and cut down forests that are less than 100 years old. This causes ecological devastation naturally, especially when there's poor management and poor forest regulations. I'm trying to rush through it because limited time. This is the natural homelands of the Lummi people, as well as going east to Mount Baker. And this right here is the Lummi Reservation, this little peninsula. Here's a map of it right here with Portage Island. So this is where we originally come from, and this is what was ceded to the government in the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855, and this is where we were located. Fun fact, the old river actually came out here into Lummi Bay, but they relocated the river to support the timber industry and shipping logs down. So now the new river comes out here into Bellingham Bay, which unfortunately causes a lot of ecological damage and sediment fill, and it's still a persisting problem. They knew it would be a problem when they relocated the river, but it was in the best interest of capitalists. Here are other examples of, this is Lake Bloedel. Anybody go swimming at Lake Bloedel last summer or any time? This is what Lake Bloedel would have looked like approximately 100 years ago or so. The heavy timber industries just devastating those populations. I love this photo because this is a photo of Indigenous people praying in a clear-cut forest, which shows how devastating that was to see that happen in that time. And this is on Lummi Island. I actually grew up on the reservation looking at this. I think it is a pebble mine. And we would paddle over here and visit it all the time. And it was just a symbol of, it was just really ugly because it's such a beautiful forest. And then there'd just be this ugly little thing put up right there. Here, so I already talked to the reef net being one of the most sustainable fisheries in the world, even today. So how do we get to a point where our salmon populations were almost ceased to exist and they continue to struggle? It's because canneries and capitalistic systems decided that this was an abundant resource that could never be exhausted. Therefore, they created these different technologies to gather as much salmon as they possibly could. And this guy right here, you can't hardly see him because he's waist deep in salmon carcasses. This is what a cannery would have looked like about 120 years ago. This is a photo, and this is a photo of cans stacked up. What they would do is they would take the salmon, they would cut the bellies off the salmon, and they would throw the rest of the salmon out because the salmon bellies were the tastiest and most prized part of the salmon, and everything else was thought to be a waste. And when I mean throw out, I mean quite literally. They had jobs called fish chuckers, which is what a lot of tribal fishermen had to resort to when they had no more areas to fish because the fish traps were in their traditional areas. If you think that we've learned our lesson, that's not the case. Unfortunately, we still wreak havoc on our salmon habitat, and we still devastate our salmon populations with things like fish farm, bad forestry management, poor water quality management, things like that. And Indigenous communities fight to this day to make sure that salmon have a chance to survive. And thankfully, our allies, non-Indigenous allies, have started to turn a page and really make efforts to help in that cause. But we need everybody on board to make this work.
So the relationship today looks like restoring kinship ties. There's a lot of Indigenous-led organizations that are at the forefront of salmon restoration, dam removal, climate action, and habitat protection. We have cultural revitalization, we have canoe journeys, language revival programs, and traditional food sovereignty projects that are strengthening Indigenous identities and relationships with the Salish Sea. Legal and political advocacy, Indigenous nations continue to push for greater sovereignty, including recognition of traditional territories, co-management of fisheries, and protection of sacred sites. We have conservation and climate resilience. Facing the growing impacts of climate change, Indigenous leaders are advocating for sustainable solutions to protect the Salish Sea ecosystems for future generations.
Here, I won't speak to every photo, but here are some examples of the way Indigenous communities have resisted impacts of colonization, the erasure of culture, and who continue to stand in the face of adversity, even against some of the most powerful foes, including the Lummi Nation standing against the Cherry Point Coal Terminal, the Lummi Nation, Nooksack Nation, Salish Nation, developing aquaponds to restore salmon habitats or hatcheries. In the bottom corner, I will talk to this photo. This is Raynell Morris, a Lummi Nation tribal member who is visiting Tokate, or Scally-Choctonot, as she was renamed by the Lummi Nation, who is a killer whale who was kidnapped from her homelands here in the Salish Sea and brought to SeaWorld, where she was forced to perform in imprisonment for the rest of her life. She unfortunately passed away right after she was freed, which means she was never actually freed. I actually do love this photo too. This is a full women's crew on a war canoe. Of course, these are much smaller forms of war canoe utilized just for sports. Once colonization happened and we laid down our arms and signed agreements of peace, we still found ways to utilize our sacred modes of transportation for sport. This is a full women's crew, likely from Cultus Lake. I love it because my grandma was a war canoe puller, and she would be out there with her little bonnet, button-up shirt and skirt with and just ready to go to war.
Okay, so to get myself away from some of the facts and personalize things a little bit, I wanted to really talk about Tribal Canoe Journeys. And if you guys aren't familiar with Tribal Canoe Journeys, it's an annual event that's hosted every single year where a different tribal nation takes part in being hosts. People start off from one destination. So like myself, I've started up in Canada and I've traveled all the way down to furthest, I think, is Muckleshoot or Puyallup has been the furthest that I've paddled. And we camp along the way, and there's partnerships with different tribal nations. So we go from Lummi and then Samish to Swinomish to Tulalip to Suquamish, and so on and so forth. And these legs, from place to place could be all the way up to 12 hours. I've been out on the water paddling. So it really takes a lot of mental, physical, and spiritual strength. This event started in Paddle to Seattle, 1989, and it was inspired by a Quinault tribal member, Emmett Oliver, who served on the Maritime Committee, and they were trying to, for the 100th anniversary for the Centennial Accord, were trying to recognize European explorers in the Puget Sound, and Emmett Oliver stepped in and was like, there's been a long mode of transportation long before long before settlers have came here. And so he really wanted our mode of transportation as Indigenous peoples recognized. And so this was incorporated in the Centennial Accord celebration in 1989, and that is how Tribal Canoe Journeys has started. For myself, I have been traveling for almost about a decade on Tribal Canoe Journeys, and this is my family's canoes. We have 3 canoes, we are called the Three Sisters Canoe Family. Each canoe represents an ancestor, which is listed on the bottom: Emmy Godstone, Elizabeth Raband, and Mary Rapata, who are the daughters of my great-great-grandmother. So this is a way that we honor our ancestors, on and off the water. And it's really important as Indigenous peoples to recognize who we are and where we come from. And that's not place-based, that's ancestral. So knowing, your lineage and your family tree is really important to who we are as Indigenous people. A lot of who I am and how I carry myself as an Indigenous woman is the cultural teachings that I've learned on the water. It's all about respect, being one with each other, one with the water. And I'm able to really pass on these cultural teachings to my niece. This is my niece, Montana, and she's 10 years old, and she's pretty much experienced every tribal canoe journey with me. Last year was the first year that we actually danced together during protocol, and I just take a lot of pride in really empowering who she is as a young Indigenous girl, because, myself, my mom, sometimes a lot of us grew up in a time where it wasn't cool to be Native, it wasn't cool to be Indigenous. And so to really be able to embrace who we are and where we come from, I think is the most powerful thing about Canoe Journeys. And like I mentioned, it's really mentally, physically, and spiritually challenging. Like, the longest I've been on the water is like up to 12 hours. And so it really gives you a chance to be connected not only with your family that's paddling with you, but the water and our ancestral highways. So anytime that, I say in my head that I can't, teaching that has really been instilled in me is to really just give it to the water, praying to our ancestors for strength, because this is the way that they've traveled since time immemorial. I think, yeah, no.
I myself have traveled on our ancestral highways for approximately a decade as well. My first canoe journey was paddle to Quinault. If you don't know where Quinault is, it's all the way down on the west coast, approximately 350 miles from Lummi. And some of those legs were 30, 40 miles long. We actually got lost one time on a paddle that should have been 8 hours, and we were out there for 16 hours. Devastating as a 13-year-old. In the top right corner here is my late leader and skipper. His name is Justin Finkbonner. He taught me everything I know about being a canoe skipper. He unfortunately passed away in 2016 due to mental health, and that is when I had to take on the duty of becoming a skipper, and I was one of the youngest, if not the youngest skipper on the water. A canoe skipper is basically the steering wheel of a canoe. We guide the canoe and the crew to safety, but there's so much responsibility that comes with being a canoe skipper. You have to wake your crew up in the morning. You have to make sure your crew's going to bed. You have to make sure your crew's safe, that there's lunch for your crew, water. Otherwise, you put your crew in a sticky situation, and it doesn't make for a good time. You don't want to mutiny. Yeah, motivation is a big one. You have to really learn the canoe. You have to feel it. It has to become an extension of who you are. You use the head to guide where you're going, point in the direction that you're going. That sounds easy, but when you're facing elements like the current, the wind, waves, and your crew, maybe one side is pulling harder than the other, you have to be able to read your crew and know who to switch, when to switch. There's so much that goes into being a skipper, and there's so much that goes into Tribal Canoe Journey. We could give a presentation alone on this, but we don't have the time. But like I said, my late skipper, he was a true visionary. He instilled responsibility into us as young people. This guy would drive around the Lummi Reservation in a white van, and he would be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Like, "Nothing. Get in." Next thing you know, we're 650 miles up north, and Bella, gone home for 38 days on a giant camping trip with 42 kids and 4 adults. I can't imagine being an adult in that time. But like I said, he was a visionary, and he introduced us to direct action and inherent responsibilities. Our ancestors, we have a long lineage of advocating for the environment and advocating for sustainable practices, especially when our ancestors seen the impacts of colonization and this colonial force sweeping through our homelands, devastating this ecosystem, and they continue to do it today. Here's examples of where he would bring us and how he would show us and introduce us to these issues. This here is a oil drill making its way up to Alaska. We actually got to take part in this protest, trying to halt this drill. Here in this photo, here's our canoe right here, surrounded by hundreds of kayakers, non-Indigenous allies, standing with Indigenous people to fight for a better future. Yeah, and I just raise my hands to my elders and my leader for being able to introduce that pathway forward. And that's how I came to be how I am today and carry the values that I carry.
All right, we just have 2 more slides left. So we just really want to end on a vision for the future, and that future is one of healing, restoration, and sovereignty. This includes a thriving ecosystem where salmon, orca, and all life that depends on the waters can flourish. It is a future where Indigenous nations are recognized as stewards of their ancestral waters, actively leading conservation efforts, protecting treaty rights, and revitalizing cultural traditions connected to the Salish Sea. It is a future where Salish Sea is not just an environmental concern, but a living relative treated with respect and care. And it is a future where Indigenous people and non-natives work together to ensure clean waters, abundant wildlife, and climate resilience.
And we always love to end with a call to action. It's a challenge to you. You know, it's a time for you to question your values and really question the future that you want to see. How do you want your children to live, your grandchildren, 7 generations down the line? What do you want to see? There's many things that you can do today or in your lifetime that can help. You might not even feel like you're doing a whole lot, but it takes all of us to create this net. We're just one part of this net. We're just one part of our community, but even you can raise the bar just that much higher. Even you can challenge yourself to be better, and that's what's going to move us forward, us coming together in unity and ensuring that our next generations can have a home here and can thrive the way that we've thrived in these homelands for generations. Honor Indigenous treaty rights and agreements. You know, these agreements, they provide our tribes, have provided our tribes with the power to stand up against these corporations. Believe it or not, some of the most powerful corporations in the country, tribes can stand up to them because we have the supreme law of the land on our side, something that is more powerful than even the Constitution itself. Amplifying Indigenous voices, amplifying environmental movements in general, making the right decisions both on a personal scale and on a larger scale, creating ways to have the most impact and giving the most impact to movements that are already happening. Show up at demonstrations and use your voice because you have one for a reason. And we would like to take maybe just a few questions. We're pretty, we went a little over. So.
Material, not the additional calls for the name of it, but the stick calls for the application of the name of it and return.
So the material, the drum that I sang with this morning and the hat that I wear on my head today, the hat is actually made from cedar, harvested and woven together by a good friend of mine, Morgan Brown, who is actually on a podcast, 2 podcast episodes on a podcast series that I had the opportunity to create last year. And the drum is made from cedar and deer hide. When we hunt, we try to utilize every part of the animal. The hide can be used for, or the hide can be used for clothing or instruments, and the rim around it is cedar. So.
Time for one more question before some people might have to get going. Anybody have a? American Indigenous-led organizations are actively looking for volunteers?
I think Children of the Setting Sun Productions, you know, we have a decent amount of impact, but we could always have more. And one of the best ways that you can get involved is actually communication. You know, sharing our posts out, connecting your circle with the work that is being done. That's exactly what we do at Children of the Setting Sun Productions. That's what storytelling is we're taking these movements, we're taking these hard facts, and we're creating digestible content that keeps the general population somewhat interested, and we try to change a narrative that you know, a narrative that came here 100 years ago and has been destructive ever since. The more people that we can reach, ideally, the better off we are in that cause. So that is one way that you can utilize that. It doesn't have to be an Indigenous organization either. There's many organizations all around Whatcom County, Resources, Nooksack Salmon Enhancement Association. They're always doing community work parties, cleanups, tree planting, you know, planting ethical trees. There's different ways you can convince private landowners. You can be a part of convincing private landowners to maybe assist in building riparian zones along the river. It doesn't take, you don't have to do much research to find the problems in our community, and it doesn't take much effort to get involved and help move this place forward in the best way possible.
That's great. I'm sure they're happy to stay and keep chatting with anyone who wants to come up, but thank you very much.